All right, guys. I think it's evening right now. Good evening, everyone. You're all welcome to today's session. We are live. We are live for today's session. You're all welcome. Please, I would want you to invite your friends to join us. Share the link for the session and invite everybody to join us live here for today's section. Okay, so we'll be starting in a couple of we're starting just right now, but wanted to make sure that everyone is on board before we get started, right? Okay, so if you're happy to be here, please say hi, drop a hi on the comment section, and please invite everybody to join us. Tell them that we are live. We are going live for today's class, and we have a lot of amazing stuff to discuss and talk about in today's class. So please, if you're not yet here on YouTube, click the link, and join us on YouTube for today's session. Okay. And also invite your friends, share the post, share the link, share the session to your friends, share it everywhere on your status, share it everywhere on on social media, on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on Twitter, as X, and everywhere you are, please share it and join us for today's session. Okay. All right. Yeah, you're all welcome. Okay, so as you've just joined us, if you have not subscribed to this channel, you know what we do here. We teach tech, we teach software engineering, we teach web development. For the past for the past 4 weeks right now, it should be the fourth week that we started. And we started with HTML, we've done CSS, and today we are starting JavaScript. Okay, so please do well to join us today and subscribe to our channel. Invite your friends to subscribe. If you're not in our community, we drop in the community link here so you can join us in our community and stay connected. All right. Okay. Welcome everyone. Thanks for joining today's session on JavaScript for beginners. So we'll be talking a whole lot. We'll be discussing a whole lot. And as we've always done, we'll be having a practical session, hands-on session where you practice yourself. And if you don't feel comfortable practicing during the class, I think what you can do is that you can just pay attention while I'm teaching. And at the end of the day, you are free to come back to this channel and rewatch it, right? Relive it, and then have the same experience and have more uh, comfort practicing. Okay, so get your laptop ready. If you don't have your laptop, then use a mobile phone. All right. So there are a lot of mobile code editors out there that you can download on your Play Store, on App Store, whichever store you are using. Just look for a code editor and get it and start practicing what we are doing here. The same thing works. Okay. So code along with me if you can, and feel free to ask your question in the chat anytime. Okay, so the chat box is open. Feel free to drop your question anytime you are any question to want to ask a question. Just feel free to come to the chat box here and drop your questions. Okay. Yeah. So I'm really happy to have you all here joining me in this session today. So if you've been following, if you're following along from our previous classes on HTML and CSS, we've done HTML, we've done CSS, and all these videos are here on this channel. Okay, so if you've just joined us for the first time, feel free to go through the first video, look at it, and just get yourself comfortable with it and start coming up from there, and then you meet us in where we are currently. So we've done a lot of sessions on HTML, a lot of sessions on CSS, and welcome back. We've already built a strong foundation by learning how to structure a page with HTML, how to style it and make it beautiful with CSS. I think our previous class was very much in depth in CSS. We did a lot of in depth CSS, did a lot of styling, did a lot of structuring, a lot of arrangements, what's it called? Different flows, grid line, grids, and the rest. Okay, so you get a lot of responsiveness as well. So just make yourself comfortable with the previous class video. All right, but today If it is your first time, just start from the scratch, start from the first base video, and then you will join us. Okay. So today we are stepping into the brain of the web development. So we've been doing a lot of HTML and CSS, but today we are going into the real coding. We are going into real programming. We are going into using a real programming language. All right. So HTML is a markup language, not necessarily a programming language, just a markup language. Okay. So JavaScript is the programming language of the web, and I'm happy to welcome you here into this class where we'll be looking at JavaScript. We'll be learning JavaScript. We're going to write your first JavaScript. That is your first line of code today. Wow, that's amazing, right? So you're going to put in your first line of code, your first line of programming if you've never done that before. So today is giving you the opportunity to start practicing programming full time. Okay, so it's more of a promotion. So you see, HTML gives your website structure. CSS, you see design, colors, structuring, and fonts, shapes, and the rest. But JavaScript gives it life. Okay, it's what makes buttons, the animations you see in your website. If you open, let me show you. If you open any website, you see animations, you see a lot of transitions, form validations, and many other reactions, websites. JavaScript that makes a website interactive. Okay. So in today's section, we're going to be looking at some basics. We focus on the core building blocks of JavaScript. So I hope we're able to finish up everything that we have to discuss today in JavaScript because we have a lot. Okay, so we'll do a lot of basics. We'll do we'll look at data types, we'll look at variables, look at operators, look at conditions, loops, and functions. These are the core foundations of JavaScript. So we're going to look at all these things. If we can complete it today, you can have an extra class for it. Okay. So by the end of this class, you should be able to feel comfortable about JavaScript. You'll understand how the website starts thinking, right? How the website starts reacting to actions. And you'll be able to write some simple logic on your own. Okay. So please just keep your notepad, keep your notebook by your side in case you want to write something down. Okay, and then like I said initially, if you feel stuck in the chat box, you are free to write your questions there. Okay. So please, if you can hear me, say hi. You can drop a hi in the comment section if you can hear me. If you can hear me, please can you say hi in the comment section? If you would love to start programming today, just say yeah. Hi, thank you so much. Can tell me where you are joining us from and whatsoever is interesting you, but just know that today is your first day of writing code. Yeah, guys. I believe I'm audible enough. Because if I'm not audible, oh, thank you so much. Dammie Lola. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that. I believe I'm very much audible, guys. Mm, okay. So let's go a little bit deeper, dive in deeper into what we have. Okay, so today we'll be discussing JavaScript. What is JavaScript? Okay, so I'll make it very simple for everyone to understand. So I'll be putting in a whole lot of technical jargon. I'll be putting in a lot of technical concepts. I'll just make it very much simple for you to understand. Okay, so it's a programming language. And a programming language is just a language that we use to give instructions to the computer. That's just what a simple way to define a programming language. It's a language that human beings use to give instructions to the computer. Okay, so just like we have your English language, we have your um, our French, in Nigeria, we have Igbo, we have Hausa, we have Yoruba, we have Arab, we have different parts of the world where you have Chinese language. You have a lot of languages, human languages that human beings use to communicate. Okay, that's how we have JavaScript. JavaScript is for the computer, one of the programming languages of the computer. So there are different programming languages, just like the way we have different human languages. Okay, but literally they do almost the same thing. Although some languages are good at some things more than the other, but um, the summary is that they do the same thing. They just give the computer an instruction and the computer carries it out. Okay, so maybe when you start going in there, you start understanding some of the strengths of different programming languages and some of their different use cases. But just know that the programming language is a language with which a programmer or a human being gives instruction to the computer, and the person that gives instruction is called a programmer. All right, so that's just a simple way. And then JavaScript is one of those programming languages that we have out there. Okay. So it tells specifically started as a programming language of the web, although currently we can do so many things with what JavaScript beyond the website. You can build backend, you can build mobile applications, you can build desktop applications, you can build games with JavaScript, you can build a lot with JavaScript, you can build um, you can build even IoT powered applications with JavaScript. You can build AI powered applications with JavaScript. Okay, so there's a whole lot that you can do with JavaScript. You can write JavaScript on the front end and use it for the back end. Okay, so that's one amazing thing about JavaScript. It is that it is compatible for both front end and back end. So when you learn JavaScript, you can apply it in the front end and you can apply it in the back end. Okay, so it's more like killing two birds with the same stone. You really need to get some context for back end and some context for the front end. But the same thing works in the front end and in the back end. So it's one of the basic programming languages that everybody who is starting off a career in tech, web development needs to understand. Okay, so with JavaScript, if you start learning JavaScript today, when you're done, you can build the website with it. You can do work. You can become a backend programmer with JavaScript. You become a front end programmer with JavaScript. With JavaScript, you can become a full stack engineer without any troubles. With JavaScript, you can build mobile applications um, for Android, for iOS. Okay, with JavaScript. With JavaScript, you can build applications for desktop. With JavaScript, you can build games. With JavaScript, you can build sub applications, right? Sub applications with JavaScript. With JavaScript, you can do a whole lot of stuff. You can also write build AI based applications with JavaScript. Okay, so there's an application I'm currently working on. It's AI based, and I'm using JavaScript to do that. All right, I have my reasons for that. You have Python. Python is good. JavaScript is also super cool, right? So, guys, there are a whole lot of career advantage in JavaScript. Okay, so I'm not here to preach JavaScript to you, Joe. Just know that learning JavaScript has a whole lot of nice offers to give you in the future. Okay, so you're not wasting your time. It's a nice place to be. It's a nice programming language, and it's very beginner friendly. It's one of the reasons why we choose it for this bootcamp among our programming languages. Okay, so yeah, like I mentioned, that JavaScript is a programming language that tells website what to do. Okay, so it actually helps a website to be interactive, right? So a website without JavaScript is like a remote control with buttons printed on it, but when you press them, you do nothing. Are you seeing it? So with your HTML, you can build the body of the remote control, the body. If you have used the remotes before, remotes have it's usually rectangular in shape and they have buttons printed on them. Okay, so HTML and CSS will help you build the body of that remote. But for that remote to start having actions, to start giving, taking instructions, obeying instructions, and become something lively and interactive, it needs JavaScript. Okay, so JavaScript is a part that connects the button to the action. So when you press the red button of your remote control, let's say the remote of your television, it puts the television on. So JavaScript is that part that helps the remote to put the television on when the button is pressed. So if you press the button and you don't have JavaScript inside, it does nothing. So that's how it is in different websites, right? So when you come to a website, there are different buttons in the website, and you can press any of the buttons, you can do anything, but without JavaScript, there won't be any life. Let me give you an instance. Let me try to share this. try to share my screen. Be patient. Let me do this demo for you. So let me know if you can see my screen. If you can see my screen, please say hi or say I can see your screen. Just indicate in the comment section. Let me know. Okay. Okay. So this is what it feels like when you have a website built with HTML. Okay. So you can see buttons and I see different things. Let me add a button to this page so that so try to put a button to this page. To add the button. Okay, so let me just try to do this. Okay, so I can add a button here. When it appears, let's say I have a button and I say change color, right? So, and we close it. So I believe you guys know about this, just add a button. Okay, so I can give it an ID. Let's change button ID. So this is the ID. The reason I'm giving it an ID is because I'm gonna use it in the JavaScript. Okay. Oh, why is it? So this is my button. I can add many things. I can say margin, but the pixel. What is it? Um, just bring it out. Bring it out. Mm, that's it. So 50 pixel. Really small. 50 pixel. Why did it still hit it? I want to bring it out from there. Put it somewhere else. Oh shit. Oh shit. Okay. I think I know what to happen. Yeah. See here. This is my button right now. Okay. No. Okay. So I think this button is inheriting some kind of properties. Maybe, maybe take it out. It's taking my time. Sorry. Just trying to show you something, and it's taking my time. Let me copy the element. I want to remove it from here. I'll remove it from here. I'll put it somewhere else. Okay. I know what happened. Okay. Right. So I just wanted to have this button. This is what I was looking for. So I just put this button on this page, and you can see when I click on this, nothing happens. You can see it, right? All right, you can see. When I click on this, nothing happens. This is just one of the buttons that we have. So with JavaScript, I can give an action to this button. I can decide to do anything with this button. I can decide to change the color of this website and decide to do anything with this button because of JavaScript. So I can decide to, let's say, let me do something. So this is button. So this is the button. This is the button. Let me try to select the button. Okay, quick. Just copy just part. So this is the button. Yeah. Mm, this thing. I'm sorry. Okay. So this is the button right now. So this is with JavaScript. Don't bother about this. I'll teach you later. So I can do on click. Let's say I want to put a function to this. Let's say I can tell this button whenever you are click, you change the color of the body. So I can say body document dot get elements by tag. Say tag name. Okay, can say body. That's to select the entire body, and this returns an array usually. So I can take it to first one. Can say the style thing or the background color. Okay, can I just change the color to what color do you want? Anybody suggest a color? Okay, let me just say to blue. Change the color to blue, right? So you see when you click on it, it changes the color to blue, right? So I can toggle the color. I can say, okay, if it's blue, you can change it to blue. If it's already blue, change it to red. If it's already red, change it to blue. So you can do something like that. So I can say something like if this, let me just do it this way. Statement. If this is already blue, it is already blue. I wanted to change it to red. Make it red. Else make it blue. So we can do something like that. Else make it blue. So what is red, blue, red, red, blue. So this is what JavaScript does. Right. I believe you can enjoy, I believe you enjoyed it. So this is what it feels to have JavaScript on your website. You give it a life. you define action for every, you define a reaction for every action and try to put in something. For instance, if you come here, let me put in, let me show you something. You go to softzenit.com. When you open the website, you see a whole lot of things done by JavaScript. Okay, so this whole animation stuff, this movement, as when you click this button, it's moving. This was handled by JavaScript. When you click on this button, it brings up this form. It was done by JavaScript. Okay, so all these things, there are a lot of stuff handled by JavaScript. Okay, so if you come here and find this is moving, move, move, I think it's just loading. It's JavaScript. So maybe when you close it, to somewhere else. So you can see it when you click on this. It shows you, it takes to another page. Okay, so when you click on this, it gives you a form JavaScript action. So when you come here, you didn't type in it, you try to submit, throws an error, JavaScript is also involved. And when you type in something and you click on submit, JavaScript helps to send it to the server. Right. So JavaScript does a whole lot of stuff for us. Okay. So that's just the stuff. You can see this is moving, it's JavaScript. JavaScript makes it move. Okay, move on this code, you can move when you click on it, and all those stuff. So many other things done by JavaScript. More interesting stuffs than what we have here. These are just the basics. Okay. So thank you so much. So I believe you enjoy what JavaScript can do, and you also enjoy what you can do with JavaScript, right? So at this point, I want you to start looking at, we would like to start looking at what JavaScript is and how you can start writing your own JavaScript. You can see, so you can do a whole lot of stuff, right? There are basic things, there are more advanced stuff that you can do. So you're going to start with the basic stuff, and from the basic stuff, you're going to move to the advanced one. Okay, so if you're happy and you want to continue, you say, yeah, I'm happy to continue. Let me to write on, please encourage me so I know. So if you have any question also, I also want to open the floor for questions if I proceed to the next step. So let me know if you have a question. All right, guys, if there are no questions, let me proceed. I believe you guys can hear me. Everyone can hear me. Okay, so first of all, I want to teach you about variables in JavaScript. Okay, variables in JavaScript. So what are variables in JavaScript? Variables or a variable is like a box where you can store something so you use it later. Just very simple. It's like a box where you can store something and then so that you can use it later. That's why that's what variables are for. Okay. So when you store something, you label it. Let's say you have a box. Let's say you have 5 boxes, right? And you want to store 5 different things inside. Maybe in the first box, you store oil. In the second box, you store some sugar. In the third box, you put in, let's say, a, a stone inside. The fourth one, you have maybe uh, a, a sachet of milk inside and other stuff. So you have 4 boxes. Okay. So if these boxes look alike, you would find it very hard to identify which of the boxes contain sugar and which of the boxes contain oil and other stuff. So for you to differentiate which box contains which, you need to put in a label on each of the boxes, right? So you put in a label on each of the boxes. It's okay. This box contains sugar. I'll put a label of sugar on it. So this box contains oil. I put in a label of oil on it. So that's how variables work. Both in JavaScript, the concept I'm teaching you now are also applicable in every other programming language. JavaScript, Python, C++, Java, and rest. They literally share the same concepts. Okay. So these are JavaScript variables, or variables are just containers where you can put in stuff and then place a label on them. So when you put in anything on the container, you need to place a label. So with a label, you can always identify the content of the container. Okay, so let's go ahead. Let's define a variable. Let me show you how to define a variable and what variables can be for. Um, okay, so right now in JavaScript, there are different ways you can define variables in JavaScript, and I'll show you each of these ways. So you can declare a variable with the keyword let. You can declare a variable with the keyword var. You can declare a variable with the keyword const. Okay, so um, I'm going to show you. So let's start with the declare variables. So this is so we can declare a variable with different keywords. There are what we call keywords in JavaScript. So keywords are special uh, reserved words that can be used for dedicated purposes. Hmm? They are reserved words in JavaScript. You use them for dedicated action, or dedicated purpose. They have been dedicated for a particular kind of action, specific action, right? So, for instance, if you say var, the word var is a keyword used to declare a variable. So, whenever the JavaScript engine sees the keyword var, it knows you are about to declare a variable. Okay, if you can see my screen, I just see where you share my screen with them. I'm sorry, I initially thought you were seeing my editor, so I'm using this. You can use any other editor of your choice. So at this point, editors are not very important, but what you need to know is to master the concept we are doing here. You can use an editor of your choice. So I think in the previous classes we've been using code, VS Code. You can still then VS Code and use it. If you also want to practice with this editor I'm using here, let me show you. I'll send you the link in the comment section. Okay, so as I said earlier, variables are containers in JavaScript. Okay, so they just contain something that you want to preserve and you want and then use it sometime in the future or later in your code. So there are keywords that we use to declare variables. One of the first keywords we have is var, and as I mentioned earlier, keywords are reserved words for dedicated purposes. You have var as one of the reserved keywords in JavaScript for the purpose of defining variables. So if you want to define a variable, the first thing you do is to use the keyword var or the keyword let or the keyword const. And I want to tell you about the difference between the usage of these keywords. There are differences between them. Okay, so let's now if I want to define a variable, let's say my name. I want to put my name in a container, but I also want to label the container and see that what I have in this container is my name. That's basically what I want to do here. And then later on, when I want to when I want to use the content of that container, I will refer to it by the label I give to it initially. So if I have 10 containers in my room and I want to say, I want to send someone to go get one of the containers, specifically the container containing my name inside, what would I tell the person? How would I direct the person to get the specific container containing my name? One of the ways to do it is that the label I placed on that container, I will give the person the name of the label and say, okay, when you go into my room, look for the name, the container with this label, get it for me. That is the container with my name. All right. So because of this, I will start with the label, the name of the variable. That's the label of the content of the variable. So I call it name and call it anything depending on the value. Feel free to choose any name of your choice. There's no dedicated name for a particular kind of value environment in JavaScript. So any name that makes sense to you that you can remember, any name that makes sense to you that you can always recall whenever you want to use that variable, and feel free to use it. The only thing that should be static or not change is the keyword var, because the keyword var tells JavaScript that when it comes to this point, we want to declare a variable. And please don't do any other thing except, don't do any other thing except defining this variable for us. All right. So what happens is that we just put var name equal sign. This equal sign is an operator that we use to put the value into a variable. There are different kinds of values that we can put in a variable, and we're going to discuss them right here. So the first thing I want to put is a kind of value called a string. Okay, that's I want to put my name. My name is Prince. Sorry, if you want me to use your name, you can type it in the comments section. I'll use your name. All right. So my name is Prince. I'm gonna use my name. So what happens here is that this value Prince is my name. I can put string of any length, right? Is my name. I want to put it in a variable. So a variable is a container, and this container lives in the memory of the computer. That's where it lives. Okay. The container we're talking about lives in the memory of the computer. So what happens is that when JavaScript comes across a line like this, first of all, look at this keyword and say, what's this? What's going on here? This keyword tells variable JavaScript. Okay, see, you want to declare a variable right now. Get ready. Okay, so okay, fine. So you want to declare a variable. What's the label for the variable? Can you tell me the label? It's okay. The label is name. It gives the label. So it takes this label and puts on the container in our memory. So there's a container in our memory that will have that will preserve this value. A container that will contain this value here in the memory. So the label that we place on the container is name. I believe you guys are following, right? So this is basically simple. You have a container in your house and you want to put something inside. Let's say you want to put the text, Prince. You write it on the paper and you put it inside. So you put it inside because there are several other containers in the room that look alike. You need to place a label on that particular container where you have placed my name inside. That's what happens here, right? So there are different containers in our memory. Memory contains a lot of slots, containers that house values, that house content, your pictures, your images, your files in your laptop are stored in your memory. So how will JavaScript identify the particular part of the memory and the container in the memory where the name Prince was stored? It uses the identifier name here I will use. I can call it my name, I can call it my first name, anything I feel free to remember, that's what I call it. Okay, so this is called Prince. So right now when I hit enter, JavaScript already knows that, oh, I'll have to dedicate a particular slot in memory for this value, and then the name of the slot will now become the label of the slot will become my name. All right, so that's how it works. That's what it works. That's what it does. So let's say later on in my code, I want to do something with Prince. Instead of typing Prince, I can just refer to it by my name. Let's say I have a long name here. Okay, let's say can drop your names. You want me to use your name? Feel free to drop your name. I'm gonna use names here. Sorry, I have Dammie. Dammie, I'm gonna use a name. Sorry about that. I'm gonna use a name. So let's say the first person's name, first name. Let's say name one. Let's say you're taking attendance, names of people in class. So the first name is Prince. Uh, Name two. We have one more. Let me yeah. Odd name with a class someone. I think I have someone here. Yeah. So I have a name tree, Silver, name tree, someone, somewhere. So what? So right now I have names here. And if anytime in my code I want to use any of these names, I don't need to type out the content of the name. The content sometimes could be very long. Let's say that's it. So the content sometimes can be very long. So I just want something short and something very precise and very easy to use. So that's what the lab stands for. Okay. So there's if we run this, we can't see anything. This is where the app push will happen. We can't see anything. The only time we can see something is if we log out something. So log means to display something. Okay. So we use console.log, which is called the console. The place where you write things or display things is called the console in JavaScript. Okay, so when you say that log, we're going to say, okay, please put something there. I say log name one. Okay, logs it prints Chisomaga. See, so instead of me, you can also decide to say carry this here instead of putting name one, just put it here, print Chisomaga. See, the same thing works. So you can see that JavaScript is very intelligent. What happens here is that when it comes to log and you put in a variable name, JavaScript is intelligent enough to know that okay, this is a variable name. And it knows what's a variable. A variable is a container. Okay, so it says, okay, since you are putting in a container name here, it means you actually need the content of the container. So it goes into the container, pulls out the content and displays it for you. So if we do the same thing, let's say name two, run it, Dammie. You can see, very intelligent. Like, and then have name play, so it runs it for you. Okay, so this is basically how variables work in JavaScript, and this is what they do. Okay, so now let's look at the different values that we can put inside a variable. We can put a number, we can put different variables. For instance, I can say, I can have var ID. Okay, let's say the ID1, my ID, that's my ID is 1. I can say var ID2, my ID, as the ID of Dammie is 2. And say var ID3 as ID of Samuel is 3, right? You can log out and say console.log name, console.log ID1, right? Okay, you have ID3. This is name 3 here. You can see it's Samuel, and then here it has 3. Okay, so what happens? We did put these quotes before typing in these letters here, but we didn't put in quotes before writing the number here. So this will take us to the aspect of JavaScript known as data types. Data types. Okay. So data types are different types of data that you can put into a variable. You can put in a string characters, alphabetical characters. That's what we call strings. You can put in numbers, just like we have numbers, integers. You can put in boolean. Boolean are values that are either true or false. Okay, so the boolean value is a value that is either true or false. Okay, so and so many other values that we can put in data types. I'll just give you the basic data types we have in JavaScript. Okay, so we can put in all of those data types inside variables. Okay, so we're going to dedicate more time in different other data types. We have different kinds of data types. We have arrays, we have objects, we have functions, we have dates, maps, sets, and different data types. Okay, different data types, and let me give you an instance of most of the data types, but I don't think you need them right now. Let's just look at them. So you can have obj as an object. So an object is more like the key value per structure. Okay. So just like every item on earth is an object. If you look at, for instance, me, Prince, I'm an object. And what it means to be an object is that I have some attributes and I have properties. Okay. So when we define objects in JavaScript, we are just trying to bring in all the attributes or properties of that object and then put it in one place. Let's say I want to describe myself. I can say I have a lot of properties. One of the properties I have is that I have a name. And my name is Prince. Okay, so I have a career. A career, I'm a software engineer. Sorry. So what else? I have a gender, male. Okay. And so many other things. Okay, so many other things. And you can also log out this. Okay, so it's part of the things you can put in a variable. So run it, you can see log that. Okay, so we also have a kind of data type called an array. Let's say ARR. You can call it anything you want. Array is a structure that can be used to store in a list of items, not literally attributes related to a particular object, but a list of items. Okay, let's say shopping list. Shopping list. What I need to buy, so I can buy shoes. I want to buy a pen. I want to buy a laptop. These are my shopping list. There's just a list of items. So many other things. Okay. So that's how arrays are. We'll look at arrays in depth later on in class, but not now. I want to show you that it's possible to put an array in your variable. Okay, so variables contain a whole lot of different kinds of values, right? I see that is my right. So we can have a boolean. So boolean can be either true or false. Okay, you can say you can just have any boolean of anything. Let's say if it's Prince, call it anything. It's PrinceMale. You can say yes, that's true. That's how it is. Okay, I say var is today Sunday. You can call it anything and say yeah, false. So that's it. These are the kinds of values you can put to anything true or anything false like this are referred to as Boolean variables. So I'm gonna share more resources on the community that will help you get more in-depth understanding of all these concepts right now. Okay. So share it and it will help you understand it better. So we can log this out as well. So I can say console.log so is Prince. Maybe that's the name of the variable. Remember, I can use any name of your choice. Okay. So this is basically you can say true. If you put in that one, I give you false. So you have any question? I can just drop your questions. Let me know. If you have any question? Let me know. So we have different other kinds of data types. We have null. We have undefined data types. Okay. So we'll look at these data types later on in the class. But I just said about that, man. I think the basic ones we need right now are the the strings, which are just integers, number, sorry, which are just characters, ASCII characters, alphabetical characters, ABC. Anything you want to write in characters, use strings. You can also put numbers as a character. Let's say you want to write numbers, you want to put in numbers, mix numbers, and alphabetical characters, you can put them as a string. That was strings. But if I just do anything specifically numbers that are integers, just numbers. Okay, so look at what I'm saying here. What I'm saying here. So if you have these, let's say you want to say 3D. 3D is now a string or they're putting in on mix an alphabetical character and the letter. That means it's going to be the name bar the letter. It's not a string. Or if you're just writing putting numbers, if it's 3,000, 3,000,000, anything, just put them as numbers this way. Okay, so there's a rule of defining a variable. Yeah. So rule for naming variables. One of them is that you don't start a variable name with an integer. So you can start a variable name with a number. Okay, so that's um one of the rules. Okay, so variable names will start with either a letter, an underscore, or a dollar sign. Right? So that's one of the rules that we have. So you want to start write a variable name, let's say name one. You can just do underscore name one, it works. You can say dollar sign name one, it works. You can say just name one, it works. But you can't say one, no, you can't start it with an integer. You can't start it with an integer. Okay, so it doesn't work that way. That is against the rule. So we have rules, they're called syntax or program that are rules. Okay, so you can start it with a white space. Sorry, just no spaces in between. Sorry, so no hyphen. That's why you can use underscore, but no hyphen. And they are case sensitive. Variables are very much case sensitive. Let me show you what I mean. Let me show you what I mean. So you can have you can have spaces in between variable names like this. No, it doesn't work. Or you can have underscores. Let's say NA underscore. Let's say you want to put in something long. Let's say name underscore me, right? So it works. And then variables are case sensitive. It means that let's say we have a variable here, var, what do we call it? Var school, start with capital T, capital S equal to hello school. This is not the same thing as small letter s, so that's small school. Sorry. Okay. So these two are not the same. So whenever you have any change of case in any of the letters and a variable name, it becomes a different variable. And you can't repeat the same exact name, the same exact case for two variables. So for instance, you can have another school like this. No, we can have it. Or we can have another verse, maybe capital L, or change the case in any of the letters and the works become a different variable. So for example, say console log school with a capital letter. So we'll run it here. You can see it displays hello school. We'll make it school a small letter. Run it here. So small school, right? So this guy is kind of the same. So variable are case sensitive. Variables very much case sensitive. Use back after that. So don't count a lot of box and code. Okay. So So it's called data types. So like I mentioned, in variables, you can define your variable with let, and you can define your variable with with const and var. So let me show you the difference between these three. That very much different. Okay, let's show you the difference between the three of them. So when we're talking about var, for instance, I have my school here. I define with var. I can change it. Okay, I can change it. I can say school is no longer small school. It was small school. School is now smaller school. Okay, so if I don't have that console.log school under this, after this change, you know what happens. All right, you can see small school, smaller school. So the first one, when this school wanted to run, it looked at what is the value stored in school, and it said, okay, small school. But after this line, the value changed to smaller school. So when you try to log it out here, it said it saw what it saw in the value was smaller school. So you can change the value for variables declared with var and let. The same thing with let. Declare a variable with let, you can change the value for that variable. You can see it works. But if it's const means it's constant, you can change it. If you change it, try to an error. Right? You can see an error. Say assignment to constant variables is an error. You don't do that. Right? Constant variables are constant. You can change them. Okay? You can change them. So that is for constant let and var. So what's now the difference between constant, let and var? We've already seen that, okay, you can change the values in let and var, but can't change that of values in const. Okay, so let's look at the values. Say there's what we call blocks in JavaScript. You can have a block, let's say if statement, if true. Okay, so if we a block is basically any code written in between curly braces like this. They are called codes in block. Okay, so anything written in between the open and closing curly braces is a block, is in a block, more like inside a room. Okay, it has its own separate environment, kind of, right? So let's say we declare a variable here, amount is equal to 1,000 inside this block. Let's try to do console.log amount. So run here. Can see 1,000. You can see convert. Let's change this to let and see what happens. It's running. It's running. Say error. Say amount is not defined. You can see it throws an error because it was changed to let. So what it means is that any variables, if you declare a variable with let, it only lives within a context. It's called a context. So we have different kinds of context. You have the global context, you have the local context, right? So this is the local context. Local context is just any context inside of a block. The global context is the context of all the things, all the environment of all the variables here. But the environment of any variable inside any block is called a local environment, a local context. Okay, so the any variable declared with let lives in the context where it was declared. So if it was declared out of a block, that's in the global context, then it can live in the global context. You can access it. For instance, this command here is existing in the global environment. You can see it's currently existing out of this block. So this block, like I said, this environment, this space here is just a local context of this if statement. It's a local block, right? So this curly braces gives more like a boundary to it. It defines a boundary for the anything written inside here, right? So The let, any variable declared with let only exists in the environment where it was declared. So you can see that this amount here was declared in this local context environment. So it doesn't live out of this environment. Anything doesn't, you can't see it in outside of these color places. So if you bring in this console.log, let's say bring this console.log into this context right now, into this local environment, you can see it running. So, so this network. I think it's network was trying to delay me. So what happens is that when you bring it in here, you can see it works. It logged out. Okay. So when you take it out, it throws an error. It tells that it's not defined because the JavaScript is trying to look for that variable, but they can't find it because it's already declared inside this context that is not accessible in the global context. But when you change it to var makes it available everywhere. So whenever you declare something with var or const, it's available everywhere. You can access it everywhere, both inside the context, the context, outside the context, the global context. Okay, so that's the difference between varlet and const, right? So I believe you can understand it properly. Later, if you don't, you can report this video on your own. All right. So now I think we're gonna stop here so that I'll give you some time to digest what we've learned today. So your assignment is basically write declare variable in JavaScript and log it out of the console. Just declare variable. I'm gonna put this in the comment section. I'm gonna put this in the comment section for you. So declare this anywhere. Just use this. Try to write your code. You can be your code editor. You can do it in the console of a browser, browser console, or you can also use this website, this link here. I think it's very easy with this link. You can transfer this link. Okay, so just write the declare variable, declare a string, declare a number, okay, a string and a number, and log them out the way we have them here. Log out, just log them out. Try to see if you can work at your end. If it doesn't work, the community is there. Please don't hesitate to come to the community. Let me drop a link to the community so you can join us in the community. Join our community so feel free to ask your question at any time. So please learn to the community, share with your friends, share with your colleagues, anyone who wants to join. Right. So the link is also in the description of this video. So if you go to the description of this video, you see the link to the community. Please, you are highly welcome to come into the community, ask your questions. Feel free to relate with everyone. And then thank you so much till the next class. We may have another class tomorrow because I think this class is way too long, longer than I expected. And I didn't want to take it so long. So I'm going to fix another class maybe tomorrow anytime soon so we can cover up all the things that we have left because we have so many other things that we've not discussed. We still do have to do. We just discuss variables. We have conditions, we have loops, we have functions. We also have operators as well. We're going to look at them. All right. So, guys, until next time, thank you so much for joining. Have an amazing coding experience. Bye.